Hi everyone and welcome back to CleverPatch Crafternoons. I hope you've all had a wonderful week. For this week's craft we're going to be getting into something that's near and dear to my heart and something that I remember making as a kid in the school holidays with my mum, and that is hand puppets. So we're going to be using Mod Rock today to create our hand puppets and a few other bits and pieces which I'll go through in a moment. But the great thing about this craft is you can take some time, you can create lots of different characters, you can get together with your brothers and sisters or a group of friends and create different characters to actually put on a show at the end of your craft, which is really nice. So what we're going to be using today is some Mod Rock. Now if you don't have Mod Rock, you can do it the old-fashioned way of what I used as a kid. You could create your own paper mache. So that just involves some scrap paper and some glue. We're also going to need some balloons, some cardboard rolls, tacky glue, a craft bowl and some warm water. We're going to be using a hand puppet to create the body of our puppets, but again you could probably forage for some collage materials at home to complete that if you don't have a hand puppet on hand. We're going to need some acrylic paints for decorating, some masking tape and a pair of scissors. Alright, I think that's it. Let's jump into it. Before we get started, it's a good idea to put down some scrap paper to protect your work surface, as the Mod Rock can get a little bit messy. So to begin, we want to create the base for modelling our puppet head onto. And all we need to do is use some scissors to carefully cut a cardboard roll in half. Then we're going to take our balloon and inflate it to a small round size. So I'm using one that fits basically in the palm of my hand. Depending on the character that you've chosen to make, you might want it a bit bigger or a bit more oblong or oval shaped. So think about what character you're going to make and then size your balloon accordingly. And what we want to do is attach that balloon in place on top of our cardboard roll with some masking tape. So we just pop him on. And tape that in place. Might add a bit more tape to secure it. So today I'm going to show you how to make a cat, but as I mentioned, have a think about the puppet show you'd like to put on and create your characters around that. So there we go. The base for our modelling is ready. Now it's time to get messy and start with our Mod Rock. So to use Mod Rock, we just cut the roll up into strips and we're going to dip it into some warm water in our craft bowl, get rid of any of that excess and then just drape it over our base. And when we're applying it, you might need to add a bit more water. We just want to smooth it out over the surface so that it's nice and smooth. And then we just continue to add more and more pieces to our base until it's covered. And we want to make sure the Mod Rock comes down onto our cardboard roll as well. And that way we know it's going to be nice and firmly attached in place. So just smooth that out. Mod Rock is made of, it's like a mesh material that is covered in plaster. So what you'll see happening when it's dipped in the water, it's activating with the warm water and getting that plaster to smooth out to create our nice solid puppet head. As I mentioned at the start, if you don't have Mod Rock, that's okay as well. You can do it the way I did as a kid and tear up some old newspaper. We used to use the old phone books, they were great. And then you tear up strips, much like the Mod Rock. And then instead of using water to activate plaster, we would just use glue. So Mum would make just a simple paste out of flour and water, and we would make our paper mache hand puppets that way. So when you're creating your layers of Mod Rock, try to overlay each one a little bit over the last. Make sure there's no gaps. And you might also want to do 2 layers. So it might be a little bit see-through still with just 1 layer. So while you're making it, just always look out for gaps and make sure your puppet head ends up nice and strong. So we're nearly back to the start here. As you're working, depending on the temperature around you and the temperature of your water, you might be able to feel the Mod Rock start to harden. So just try and get that as smooth as you can. Might add another layer right around the cardboard roll here, holding those strips in place. So I'd probably go over and complete another layer on top of this first initial Mod Rock layer. But what I'll do, I'm just going to skip that step and show you how to create some features. So you don't have to use Mod Rock just flat. You can scrunch it and mold it to create some features. So for example, a nose for the cat. So we use it in the same way. Wet it down in your water, drip off any excess, and then this time we can just scrunch it up and smooth it or press it in place onto the puppet head. We can create ears in the same way. Just wet that down, scrunch it into a bit of an ear shape. As you can see, it is messy, like I said. And then we can just pop that in place on the head for an ear. So continue to make any features of your puppet that you wish, and then you want to put this to the side to allow it to completely dry. While we're waiting for the puppet head to dry, we can move on to the puppet's body. We're going to be using a cotton hand puppet, which is going to make this really easy for us. But again, if you don't have a cotton hand puppet, you might have some old material lying around, and you can think about what you'd like your puppet to look like. For example, this ginger cat, I made a nice bright ginger body with a belly patch and some little paw prints. Or this girl I gave her a nice blue dress with a flower on the front. So think about your character and what their body should look like. For when we're using a hand puppet, we're just going to use some scissors to carefully cut that top piece off. So now the top of your hand puppet is going to be open, and this is where we're going to slide our puppet head into and attach it from there. So once you've decided how you want your puppet's body to look, we're just going to take our acrylic paints and paint up that hand puppet. So here's one that I made earlier. I'm going to be making a black cat today, so I have painted this one black with a little white belly and some little white paws. Now, a good thing to remember when painting your hand puppet is to place some scrap paper inside, and this will stop the paint from going through and sticking the hand puppet together. So once you've painted your body, just allow that one to dry completely as well. Once your Mod Rock head is completely dry, which will probably take around 24 hours, it's time to remove the balloon from inside and decorate. So here's one that I've prepared earlier. You can see that you'll be able to reach inside the head, and you'll be able to pull the balloon and just use some scissors to cut the balloon open so that it deflates, and then you'll be able to just gently pull it out from the head. Once the balloon is removed, you can just use your acrylic paints to create your puppet head. I have gone with a black cat today, so I've just painted on his little face and then added some wiggle eyes as well. So if you don't have wiggle eyes, you can just paint your eyes on, or think about any collage materials you might have at home that can really bring your puppet to life. So once our head is complete and dry, and our puppet body is complete and dry, it's time to join them together to complete the puppet. So all we do for that is slide the cardboard roll end of the head into the hand puppet, and we're just going to secure that with some tacky glue. So just squeeze some glue into the opening there, and then pull the fabric tight around the cardboard roll like so. You can turn him over, add some to the back. It's good to use a fair amount of glue at this stage, as you want that to be nice and secure. So don't worry if it does ooze out the top a little bit or get around onto the fabric. Once it's dry, it's going to dry clear, so that won't be a problem. Again, it is a little messy, so make sure you've got something protecting your work surface. So once you've pulled that down nicely and it's all nice and tight and sitting in place, we just want to allow that to dry, and then your puppet will be ready to use. Once your puppet has completely dried and is ready for use, it's as easy as popping your hand up into the hand puppet, and then I've got my pinky and ring fingers over here in this arm. Hello! I've got my middle finger and pointer finger up through the cardboard roll and into the head, and then I have my thumb over here in the other arm, and we're ready to put on a show. I hope you've really enjoyed today's craft of making Mod Rock puppets. I really would like to see what characters you've come up with out there, so make sure to take some videos of your shows or send me some photos of your puppets on socials or shoot them through on an email to us. I'll be back next week with some more craft fun, so until then, happy crafting!